3CoSports podcast with your three co-hosts, Luke, Alex, and Angel.
Welcome everyone to episode 2 of the podcast that entertains you, informs you, and helps you win. My name is Angel Maldonado, and I am joined here today by my two co-hosts, Alex Krpeski, aka the well-traveled fantasy football analyst, and the social media guru, Luke Sawhook. Guys, how we doing today?
Doing pretty well. Normally I wouldn't share this, but by coincidence, this is also our third time trying to record the episode again. Hopefully this is the final version once again. So maybe, I don't know if there's some kind of curse on the show that for the first 2 episodes we have to record it 3 times in a row. Thankfully the file's corrupted at 3 minutes in this time instead of half an hour in. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've come to the realization that the 3 in 3CoSports might have something to do with the 3 times that it takes to record a podcast.
Oh my god.
We've been cursed.
Yeah, we brought it on ourselves by picking that name. But
That
yeah, other
makes
than
so much sense.
We're gonna change our name to 1CoSports.
No CoSports. There's none of us. No CoSports with no co-hosts. There's just not going to be a podcast.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty
no.
much.
But yeah, I'm
At
doing
this
pretty
point.
well.
Now,
Please
here's
go
a
on,
question
Angel.
for you guys to start off our podcast. Who's a bigger villain? The guys that are drilling above Alex's apartment or Iris?
As of now, Iris. But that's funny because as you said that, they started drilling. So that's
I
fun.
know.
They had to get their 2 cents
don't know.
in.
They did. They tried to reply.
So we've
Yeah.
talked about this 2 times already, so we'll keep it brief. But there are people drilling above Alex's and I's apartment, and it's been going on for like a week. So we're running on low sleep, and we're also very annoyed at these villains of our household. But the annoyingness has been trumped by Iris and its villainous. So a lot of villains today on this podcast, but you know who isn't a villain? Monkey Knife
Who?
Fight. Because Monkey Knife Fight has some of the best
What a
and most
transition.
creative DFS props anywhere. Go to monkeyknifefight.com and use promo code 3CO, that's the number 3CO, to double your initial deposit up to $50. So, go check out the best MKFing DFS website and app today. I don't care what you guys say, I'm happy about that MKFing joke.
No, that's not bad.
It's pretty solid. I feel
I'll
like
take it. I'll take it.
compared to my usual material. But to get the
Oh,
show
Lord.
started off, guys, a lot has happened in the last 3 days since we last spoke. So why don't we go ahead and start with the rumor of the Texans once again trading a franchise player for a package that includes a running back. How do you guys feel about the Watson to Panthers rumors?
I really like the fit of Deshaun Watson for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I said this last time as well, but I think that Deshaun Watson's pretty much a good fit on any NFL team just because he's such a good quarterback. But I do think the Panthers would be a good fit for Watson because DJ Moore would be a nice target for him to throw the ball to. And their offensive line isn't like the worst. So it's a decent start, and then they can just kind of build around him with draft picks in the future, assuming they don't give up too much. It was rumored in the trade package that came out for 2 first-round draft picks and Christian McCaffrey. And I think it's getting kind of interesting that the Texans would want Christian McCaffrey. But I think that it's because that even if they don't have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, maybe they'd be getting Teddy Bridgewater back in the deal. I don't really know. But if they did get a decent quarterback, if they got McCaffrey, they could kind of run the offense through him, opposed to having the quarterback feed the wide receivers like a normal offense. So, I mean, McCaffrey would probably eat in fantasy purposes wherever he went because McCaffrey's just a tank and a workhorse if they feed him enough. So I definitely think it's an interesting trade package. Alex, what do you think about the idea of the rumors?
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point with the Teddy Bridgewater aspect of this because Teddy Bridgewater's on a pretty big contract. I think it would be kind of strange if the Panthers traded for a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, who just signed a huge extension, without trading Teddy Bridgewater in that same deal, because then they're stuck with like $50 million tied to 2 quarterbacks, and there's no guarantee that somebody else would want to trade for Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
So I think that's an important piece of this trade that kind of debunks the truth of it, because I just can't see it happening without Teddy Bridgewater being involved, and since his name hasn't been in the rumors, I don't buy it at all.
I agree. What do you think about the how much money is Teddy Bridgewater's contract this season?
I believe
You
he's
know?
making 20 somewhere between like $20 and $22 million a year. I think he signed a 3-year, $60 million contract with them last
That's
offseason.
That's honestly not terrible in my opinion. Like if it was just Teddy Bridgewater, like I feel like he's good enough for
Yeah,
that. If you're a
it's not
rebuilding
bad.
team, if you're a rebuilding team, but I mean that's not terrible, but it's not my favorite either. I mean he was pretty good this year. I felt like, given the circumstances of the team and what he had to work with, but
Yeah, I
it's
didn't
what it
mind
is.
him. I thought he was an okay fit for what they were trying to accomplish, but
Yeah,
as we'll talk about later in this podcast, there's a reason why the Panthers are picking number 7 overall, and there's a reason why they should be targeting a quarterback with that pick.
it
Ooh,
should be.
nice
I
segue.
definitely agree with that.
That was a great little snippet. Look at Alex getting his podcaster on.
You like
Alex is
that?
getting the segues.
Alex, that's supposed to be my job. You're not gonna need me anymore. But speaking of segues, see how bad this one looks in comparison. Carson Wentz to Chicago is heating back up, and I know our good friend Ethan, friend of the podcast, is keeping a close
I
eye on these rumors. So, how do you guys feel about Carson Wentz to Chicago?
Why are you saying Chicago?
English isn't my first language. Don't judge me.
Okay, sorry. I just thought that was funny. Sorry, I just thought that was funny.
No, I'm
So
kidding.
Carson Wentz to Chicago. Um, I think that Wentz in Chicago is really interesting. When you think of Wentz getting a fresh start, I would much rather him go to Indianapolis and reunite with Frank Reich personally. But I do think that it's a good fit just because he would have some decent targets. I mean, I anticipate that Allen Robinson's going to be hitting the door. If they do get Carson Wentz in the building, I feel like they would try to start loading up to contend. So I think that they would try to draft a wide receiver in the second round or third round or wherever they actually have picks that they didn't trade for Carson Wentz, to kind of couple with Wentz. But I think Darnell Mooney would get a good bump if Wentz came to town. I also think Cole
Ooh,
Kmet
Mooney
could get a bump
time.
as well. Dude, I love Darnell Mooney. I think he's a great sleeper right now. And yeah, I think he wouldn't be amazing for fantasy off the jump, at least unless they drafted another wide receiver immediately. But I mean, I would love for them to get a second round guy at the wide receiver to pair with Wentz and make a good fit for the team.
Yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of the Carson Wentz in Chicago thing. It feels like, based on what we saw from him last year, it feels like it's not that much different from Trubisky, because Carson Wentz played awful for a good like stretch of last season. Like, he was making decisions that were just unbecoming of a starting quarterback, and there's a reason he got benched, because he was making bad decisions and making bad throws for most of the season.
He
And
was.
I don't know if the Bears are the team that's going to give him the stability that he needs to, not make bad decisions. I don't know what you can attribute that to, really. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. I don't know if this is the solution for the Bears or for Carson Wentz.
It kind of feels like it might be the Eagles trying to drive up the price on the Colts, don't you think?
It might
Yeah.
be. It might be. I think the Colts are definitely like the hottest landing spot. I feel like everyone would be happy if Wentz went to the Colts. It just makes sense. I feel like it's a good fit. And Alex, so you seem pretty concerned about the way Wentz played. I personally think that he'll turn it around if he's getting a bit of fresh scenery. That can kind of give him the confidence again to be the guy. What do you think about that? Do you think it's more of a between the ears situation, or do you think he's lost a step?
The thing that was just very concerning for me was how often he put the ball in danger. His like turnover numbers were just like horrendous. And there was a lot of throws that he made that should have been turnovers that weren't also. There was just like there was something off about it, and maybe it was because he was feeling unhappy in Philadelphia and like didn't really trust the coaching staff anymore. It's hard to say exactly what the reasoning behind it was, but it just seemed like there was a dip in his processing ability and a dip in his overall like comprehension of the game, which is very like concerning to me, because when players get the yips like that, it can be very hard to shake. And I really like, for his sake, I hope he doesn't have a case of the yips, but that's what it looks like to me, because his overall
Yeah.
play just trended down so hard, because it's just he didn't look like the same guy that he was like 2 or 3 years ago at all.
I don't know if I was talking to you guys about this, but somebody told me that there was a rumor that he got a concussion a while back and that like changed him. and it was just
Really?
kind of
I
creepy.
never heard that rumor.
Yeah, I forget who it was. I might have been talking to the fanalist about it. I was on someone's show, and we were talking about this, like either before or in the show, I forget. And someone brought up, we were talking about Carson Wentz, and he said that there was a rumor that he got a concussion like last season or like the year before, and then after that happened, he was just like never the same person. It was kind of eerie, which is really it's kind of
That's
scary.
concerning.
It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
head
that's-
injuries are no joke,
oof.
man.
Yeah, they're not.
I'll have to look into that because that's the first time I've heard of that. But shout out to
actually
the
happened-
fanalists.
Yeah, shout out to the fanalist. That actually happened to DeAndre Swift this season too. I don't know if you guys remember that story. He got a concussion around like week 10 or whatever. Like after he started doing really well, he got a concussion and like missed a week or two.
Yeah.
There was reports coming out that like Adrian Peterson said he was concerned because he was acting weird, and like that was like really creepy. But he's fine now. But like it was kind of odd at the time.
I do remember hearing that. Yeah. Lesson being, if you ever have a concussion, make sure to get it checked out because head injuries are no joke.
Definitely.
But shoulder injuries aren't a joke either. And Trevor Lawrence just had a shoulder surgery just 2 months before the NFL draft. How are you guys? Do you think that'll impact his draft stock at all? The answer to that is probably no. But do you think it should impact his draft stock at all, especially with Fields being such a great prospect?
Alex, why don't you take this one?
No, it doesn't. It's his non-throwing shoulder.
Right.
I don't understand what he did to hurt that because I don't really know what a quarterback does with his other shoulder that he would be getting an injury bad enough to have surgery.
Play skee ball.
Yeah, something like that. He was fucking around at some point. But yeah, I don't think it will impact his stock at all. I think Jacksonville or whoever is picking first overall, if they make some boneheaded trade and they're not picking first overall, like I don't know about the Jaguars anymore. But yeah. I don't think Jacksonville would pass on him because of his left shoulder injury.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with Alex on this one. I think it's gonna be a Joe Burrow situation with the Jaguars this season. Number one overall, I think they're gonna talk to him like a week before the draft, send him a jersey in the mail like the Bengals. They'd be like, hey, yeah, we're not stupid. We're not messing this up. Like we're drafting you. And I think that's exactly what's gonna happen here. I mean, it said that he'll be ready for training camp. So I mean, I'm not worried at all. Like Alex said, it was his non-throwing shoulder anyway, so he should be just fine.
I completely agree with that, and I have full faith in the Jaguars to make the correct decision. That's mostly because I need them to make the correct decision because I have so much of Laviska Shenault. But
I love
yeah,
Shenault.
I love Shenault so much. But we can talk about that in another episode because today we're talking about QB stuff. Now, we do have a resident QB guru on our hands. Alex Krupetsky knows almost everything about the incoming rookie QB class. So, Alex, I want to start with you. What teams do you think could even play for a quarterback in round one?
Well, I'd say this year's draft has some pretty good quarterbacks. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but yeah, there's some
Really?
talent.
I've
There's
heard
some
of a few
talent on the
whispers.
board. As we mentioned, the Panthers at 7th overall are definitely an interesting team to monitor because I'd say any quarterback who isn't Trevor Lawrence has a chance to end up there. And
Really?
as we mentioned with Trevor Lawrence too, Jacksonville most likely will be taking him. It would be very shocking if they didn't. And then beyond those two teams, you have to think the Jets at number 2 overall will be considering taking a quarterback even if Lawrence isn't there for them. The Falcons at 4th overall, like Matt Ryan's getting up there. He's not looking as great as he once did.
I saw some trade rumors about Matt Ryan to the Colts, and I thought that was interesting. And if that happened, obviously the Falcons would be drafting a quarterback at 4.
Yeah, the Colts are just in on everybody, I guess. They're just any
They
quarterback. They're like, yeah, we're trading for Tom Brady now. Actually,
Yeah, so
Brady wants to prove it one more time.
he could prove it.
Yeah.
He would win a Super Bowl with the Colts. I think they're one Brady
Oh,
away
yeah.
from a Super Bowl.
That would be the
Definitely.
ultimate fuck you to Peyton Manning. Just not only does he lap him 5 times in Super Bowl wins, then he goes to where he made his career and went to Super Bowl. Tom, I know you're watching this. I know you're listening to this. Go to the Colts. Do
Tom
it.
Brady's not listening. So
Tom Brady's always listening
Hey.
to our podcast. He's a friend of the show.
gross. Gross.
That's rude.
Anyways, so
Respect your elders.
some teams,
Respect your
some
goats.
teams I think could draft a quarterback. I'm just gonna like list a bunch off. I think the Jets should draft a quarterback at number 2. I think if they don't, they'll either trade back or draft Sewell. because they could solidify the offensive line with Becton and him for many years. But I think the teams that could draft a quarterback in the first round are as follows: the Jaguars, the Jets, the Falcons. Definitely not the Bengals. I saw a mock draft the other day that someone had the Eagles drafting a quarterback, and I don't think that makes any sense personally. I think that Hurts is going to be their guy for now. I don't think the Lions are going to draft one either. It's Goff there. The Panthers definitely could draft one. This mock draft I'm looking at right now has Trey Lance going there, and I hate that fit because I think Trey Lance needs some time to sit and develop, and him going to the Panthers would be kind of gross because they would probably play him immediately unless they don't get rid of Bridgewater, which would be fine then. But if they sat behind Bridgewater, that'd be cool. The Broncos. Let's talk about the Broncos, Alex. Do you think the Broncos will make a move on a quarterback this season, or do you think they're going to give Drew Lock another chance? Oh, I forgot you're a Drew Lock guy. Gross.
I mean,
Gross.
I do like Drew Lock, but from what I've been hearing as well, it seems like they're inclined to give him 1 year with like the full cast of weapons. And I think that's smart too, because if they can be a playoff team with a very cheap quarterback like Drew Lock, they're definitely maximizing their potential, because they have 1 more year after that with him on a pretty cheap deal, and they could make some moves in the offseason and perhaps be a contender in his 4th season. I think it's all dependent on how he does this year, but I think he does deserve 1 more chance. And I don't see like Trey Lance or Mac Jones being a higher upside passer than him, really. Maybe in the long term, Trey Lance could be, but I feel like he's just as raw as Drew Lock is. And it's like, what's the difference really between those two right now? Like, might as well go with the guy you have.
Yeah, well, like the potential though is like Trey Lance could be this like Hall of Fame quarterback, and Drew Lock is Drew Lock. So
Hey, Drew Lock was getting compared to Patrick Mahomes. Don't forget.
Look how that turned out.
He hasn't gotten his chance to be Patrick Mahomes yet. Give him 1 year. Give him 2 receivers.
He started like the entire season last year, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, but who was he throwing to? Angry Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy was pissed off the whole season.
Was he?
He was getting triple covered.
Yeah, he was. I think Jerry Judy's really underrated right now, and so is Courtland Sutton. Buy both of them in Dynasty Leagues. Buy Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton right now. Do it now. Do it. Anyway, moving on to some other teams, I think. What'd you say?
Say no more. I'll go send some offers today.
Do it, man. Seriously. Cowboys are not drafting a quarterback. They have Dak. The Giants have Daniel Jones. The 49ers could, but I don't think they're going to at number 12. I think that they're probably just going to solidify their team more. In this mock, they have them going offensive line, which I think would make sense. Number 13, the Chargers obviously don't need a quarterback. They have Justin Herbert. Vikings will not draft a quarterback. I think the Patriots drafting a quarterback at 15 makes a lot of sense. I think Mac Jones could definitely be in play here. I mean, coming from Nick Saban, going right to Bill Belichick, you can just live with 2 lifeless head coaches that are winners. So, I mean,
lifeless.
Mac Jones definitely makes sense. Yeah, they are.
Take.
I feel like Mac Jones at 15 makes sense.
I agree with that. I think Mac Jones is a very Patriots quarterback, because he's a guy who you could not possibly get excited for, but you could be like, if you win, you're fine. Like that's the Patriots in a nutshell.
Pretty much. I like Mac Jones, though. I just watched his film the other day. I mean, I feel like he doesn't have like incredible arm strength or anything, obviously, but he has nice touch on the ball, and I feel like he has a good feel for the game. I don't know. I feel like if he goes to the right offense and the right coaching staff and the right system, he can be pretty good.
Yeah, I like him. Don't get me wrong, but it's like if you're having a fantasy football team and you're collecting guys, Mac Jones, no matter where he goes, is not going to be a very sexy pickup. Like, you're going to be like, ooh, yeah, this guy's he's gonna complete some underneath passes. Yeah, it's gonna look real good.
4-yard dump offs, delicious.
Oh, you said he went 30 for 40 for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Oh yeah.
Dude, speaking of dump offs, though, imagine him in the Saints, though. Like, that might be a good fit.
That's weird. That's a Madden fit. I'm thinking about the franchise mode in Madden 21. Those guys are always getting weird quarterbacks in the end of round 1.
The Saints?
Yeah, they're always picking weird dudes.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Mac Jones the Saints could be a good fit because, I mean, they do run a pretty dink and dunk offense from the past couple of years with Drew Brees. I don't really know if that's exactly what they want to be running. Since Drew Brees is old, I mean, they kind of handicapped him a little bit. But let's say they like that style of offense and they like a quarterback who can just be a field general and move the ball down the field and dump it off to Alvin Kamara in the backfield and hit a slant boy wide open for 7 yards. And I think that could be Mac Jones. I don't know. That's interesting, but I don't think he falls all the way to the Saints. I think they would have to trade up personally. I don't think he's going to fall all the way down there. I feel like that'd be the 28. Actually, yeah, in this mock draft, they have Mac Jones going at 28 for the Saints. I just don't think he falls that far. But it's
Yeah, I
possible.
wouldn't imagine he drops that far. I do want to ask you guys this: the PFF draft guide, an excellent guide, by the way. If you don't have it and you want to learn a little bit more about the incoming class, I
Yeah, there's a
completely
lot of
recommend it.
prospects and stuff in that.
There's a lot of good stuff in there, but it has the player comp for Mac Jones as Derek Carr. How
Yeah.
do you guys feel about that?
I like that
Accurate?
comp. I think I feel like he's a pretty field general-y quarterback that can move the chains and get the job done in the right circumstances.
Yeah, I think that's the comp that I've been working off of for most of the season. It's just it fits really well because I think they're roughly the same size too. Like they're both 6'3", like 215, 220. Like they look very similar out there when you
you
watch
nailed
their
it.
tape.
6'3", 214.
So
Alex, you
what's
know your
up?
measurements.
I know all the measurements.
You know your measurements, boy. All right, let's keep going through the teams that could possibly draft the quarterback here. We have the Cardinals, who have Kyler Murray, the Vegas Raiders. That's an interesting team, actually. I feel like they've been involved in a lot of trade rumors with Derek Carr / Marcus Mariota. I don't think they would pull the trigger, but it's maybe a bit of a dark horse to bring in a different guy and trade Derek Carr or Mariota. Maybe keep an eye on that, but I don't think that'll happen. The Dolphins have Tua. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Or they could trade for Watson. I'm telling you, Miami, trade that third pick in Tua, get yourself Deshaun Watson. But that's just me. Washington football team. If Mac Jones is on the board at 19, Alex, do you think they pull the trigger on quarterback?
I think even if Mac Jones is gone, they have to start thinking about maybe Kyle Trask, maybe Kellen Mond.
God.
I don't know
At
if I
19?
Well, who are they going to start next year? They're going to start Alex Smith, who he was.
I think they're gonna bring in somebody. Like I've seen a lot of rumors that Mariota in a trade.
Is Mariota?
I think they're looking at it.
But is he better than maybe you overdraft Kyle Trask or some guy who has better potential?
Yes.
Like what?
I think so.
I don't know. I really don't know because it's they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like it really does seem like there's a chance that Taylor Heineke is starting for them next year based on that contract they gave him.
There is.
It's real scary.
Mariota looks really good in that one game he played. That when Carr got injured last season. I don't know if you guys watched it. He looked awesome.
Yeah, I watched it.
I feel like the NFL is in a bit of a Ryan Tannehill world where they're trying to find the next backup quarterback who could rejuvenate their career somewhere and be elite. And I feel like Washington might be looking for that in Marcus Mariota. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I think the one
I really
problem with
want-
that Mariota game is he came off the bench hot. Like that guy was he was a heat check quarterback if I've ever seen one. He just came out and they were like, "Oh, how do we stop that?" He's running on us. Derek Carr wouldn't do that. I think it was more he caught them by surprise.
That's understandable. But I mean, he did look very good. What were you gonna say, Angel?
Yeah, personally, I really want Heineke to get a shot at the starting QB spot in Washington.
It'd be entertaining.
Purely because of entertainment. I loved watching him play that day. He played with
He could be
zero
the,
fear. He didn't give a singular fuck.
Yeah, he was
He could be
great.
the new Gardner Minshew. He could be people's champion.
The
Dude, what
people-
happened to
I-
Gardner Minshew, by the way? Is he still on the Jags?
Yeah.
could be
He's still
free.
thriving. He is.
He's got a
Free
mullet
Gardner
now.
Minshew.
He's got a
Free
mullet.
Gardner. Steelers, sign Gardner Minshew. He can be the backup for now.
Wait a
You already
minute.
have
Why
Dwayne
did?
Haskins, but I don't care.
What about Washington? Why doesn't Washington trade for Gardner Minshew? What's
There you
stopping
go.
them?
Honestly, that's not bad. I seriously think Gardner Minshew is not a bad quarterback. I mean, I don't think he's top. He's maybe top 20, top 25, but he can get the job done given the right circumstances, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like him. He's good.
Yeah,
He's
it's not
accurate.
like Washington has a bad supporting cast either. They got a pretty solid
No.
team in there, and their offense.
They have a
is
pretty
very
solid offensive line.
Yeah.
They have Antonio Gibson, the greatest running back to ever grace an NFL
Oh
field.
goodness.
Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas. Pretty much all they need is a number 2 wide receiver, in my opinion, and that offense is going to be really good for a long time. Oh, and a quarterback, obviously. They need a quarterback really badly. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. How much cap room does Washington have? Does anyone know?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure because they still have a lot of money tied into Alex Smith. Surprisingly, you'd think.
Really?
Yeah, based on their quarterback situation, you'd think, oh, these guys probably have some cap flexibility, but Alex Smith is still on a pretty big deal because he's got that extension from Kansas City that still is in there.
Let's see.
Live look into the research
Where does it
process.
tell me the whole number?
Are you on Spot
They
Rack?
have 30. I'm on overthecap.com. It says they have $38 million in cap space right now.
That's not bad. That's like they could get
That's
a
pretty
Jameis
good.
Winston out of that.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. But anyway, yeah, Washington's a very interesting spot for quarterbacks moving forward. The Bears at 20, if they don't trade for somebody, like I said over and over again, if Mac Jones is on the board, it could be interesting. How high do you think Trey Lance is going to go, Alex? Do you think he's going to be top 10?
I feel like there's so much smoke with him in the top 10 that it feels like he'll fall. I've seen it like every year. There's always the one guy who it's like, oh yeah, there's teams who are enamored with him. But then it's as the draft comes closer, it's like, they're kind of concerned about his fit. Like they're not sure if he's ready. Like all the bad stuff starts coming out. And we saw that with Jordan Love last year. Like Jordan Love, people were talking about him being like the 12th overall pick or something. Like the Raiders, I think he was mocked there. Yeah, and I feel like Trey Lance.
It was so weird that the Packers traded up for Jordan Love. I still can't get over that. They traded up for him.
That it was strange, but I kind of understood it in the like.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand why they did it like that year, but I understood that they needed a thing behind Aaron Rodgers. Like they had who was their backup the year before? Like Tim Boyle, somebody real bad. Like
wasn't it Deshaun Kaiser?
Oh yeah, they had Deshaun Kaiser, right? Yeah, I think they saw Deshaun Kaiser and they were like, "Oh God, we really do need to trade up for a better guy."
Remember when the Browns started Deshaun Kaiser for a full season? That feels like forever ago.
That was a wild time.
That was a brutal year. I felt bad for him.
A brutal year. Did he throw like 20 and 22 or something like that? Like he was pretty bad.
It was rough.
Yeah, but sorry, the Bears. Do you think the Bears pull the trigger on a quarterback, Alex, at 20 if Mac Jones is there?
For a long time, I really liked Kyle Trask's fit with the Bears because I feel like he's just a better version of Nick Foles. But after his last game of the season against Oklahoma, when he had 158 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, I'm not so sure that teams are still in on Kyle Trask as a first-round prospect.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Trask is really a first-round guy right now. I think he'd really have to show out the end of the process in order to get into the back of the first-round conversation. I feel like he's going to be like a second-round or third-round guy. I mean, I don't really know that much about Kyle Trask, but I mean, I've read up on him a little bit as far as like where he can be expected to go. The Colts at 21. The Colts could be looking to draft a quarterback if they're on the board, but I think we all kind of expect the Colts to trade for a guy.
Yeah.
I think we all would love to see Carson Wentz there. Carson Wentz there would be amazing for Michael Pittman Jr., who's also one of the most slept-on rookie wide receivers right now for some reason.
Hell yeah, I love him.
Michael Pittman Jr.
He's one of my favorites. I love Michael Pittman Jr. He's a dog.
He's
even
really great.
Sometimes I feel like him and like Denzel Mims. I feel like no one really talks about for some reason. Like I feel like everyone talks about Laviska, everyone talks about Ayuk. I don't think anyone really talks about Mims and Pittman Jr., especially Pittman. I don't know. I just feel like he's so underrated.
He's just got a boring name. People can't vibe with a guy named Pittman Jr. It's like, that guy's not going to sell jerseys.
I think he will, man. Dude, seriously, I think if a good quarterback lands there, I think he's going to be really good next year.
I agree.
He has a very high ceiling. The Titans probably won't draft a guy. The Jets at 20. Oh, dude, imagine if the Jets drafted like Sewell or something with the number 2, and then they got Mac Jones at 23. That'd be kind of fire. But at that point, I think I would rather have Sam Darnold.
Yeah, so I don't know about that one. It's an interesting idea.
It's interesting. Let's say like they trade Sam Darnold though, and then they don't draft a quarterback at 2, which I think is very unlikely. That'd be kind of fire, but I don't know.
What if they just traded? Now you go, Angel. You go, please.
At that point, they'd just be they'd pretty much be going for the number 1 pick again. I feel like.
Yeah.
Probably. For
Sam Howell, they swap out Sam for Sam.
Dude, who is Sam Howell? I literally know nothing about next year's draft class.
Sam Howell is. I like Sam Howell. I think I like him more than any quarterback in this class. Like not based on like upside or NFL fit. Wow. I just really like what I've seen from him in North Carolina. He just reminds me of like he's very sort of old school to me. he's like a guy who you watch him play and you're like, I trust that this guy is gonna like win the game for my team. Like he just seems like a dude who you can build around. Like there's something about his mentality. He's like an ice man. It's very like whoa, he's a throwback.
It sounds like a John Gruden guy.
Yeah, I mean the Raiders might be picking up there next year. You never really know what's gonna happen with that team. It's got to bottom out at some point, and maybe this year's the year.
No, I think the Raiders are just in a weird limbo where they go like 7-9 or 8-8 like every season. Pick number 24, my Pittsburgh Steelers. This mock draft has them going offensive line, and I think that is kind of likely. I think they need an offensive lineman. Pouncey retired. Villanueva could leave. Offensive line makes sense in the first round, even though it's really boring. Offensive line, if Mac Jones is there, I would like them to pick Mac Jones, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they have other needs to fill, and I think the Steelers are just going to try to reload for next season one more time, try to give Ben one more opportunity to win it, and I don't think they're going to pick a quarterback in the first or second round this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't really see it. I mean, if Roethlisberger, he's back next year, confirmed. Is this correct?
Pretty much confirmed.
Yeah, I think they have Dwayne Haskins, maybe Dwayne Haskins is the reclamation project behind.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to say in a second I thought as soon as they signed Dwayne Haskins, I was like, okay, they're not drafting a quarterback because I feel like they brought in Dwayne Haskins as a low risk, high reward signing. And they're like, okay, that kind of fills the need of like the potential next guy for some reason if we get lucky. So that way we won't have to like worry about drafting a quarterback. And then now, like, they can just go and draft whatever they need.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense.
I really like Dwayne Haskins. Like, I don't know how salvageable he is, but, like,
yeah,
I still think he has pretty good potential to become a starter. His maturity level definitely needs to be fixed, but, like...
That's what I was going to say.
I've seen stuff from him that I'm like, okay, this guy, I mean, he can ball when he's on. Like, I liked him at Ohio State, too.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me about Haskins is, like, he was given the opportunity this past year with Washington. Like, he was made the team captain. He was the starting quarterback, and he just completely shit the bed. And they transitioned away from him and brought in Alex Smith. And then at the end of the season, Taylor Heineke. It just did not go well at all.
You forgot about the first guy he was benched for.
Who was it?
Kyle Allen.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
I was offended by that.
Dude, I feel awful. Like I'm a better quarterback than Kyle Allen. Like, he literally just dumps it off to the running back.
We got to get Kyle Allen on the podcast. Kyle Allen, get on the podcast.
Come on the podcast.
I'm sure he's a chill guy, and he really isn't that bad as an NFL. Like, he's like the most mediocre NFL quarterback.
No, don't backtrack.
That's a big backtrack.
No, I don't really care. Like,
he goes from I'm a better quarterback than Kyle Allen to he's not that bad. He's mediocre.
Well, no. Like, I'm just saying, like, in a sense, like, he is a very mediocre quarterback. Like, I feel like his specialty is like a 2-yard dump off to all I can think about when I think of Kyle Allen is like him on the Panthers, just like throwing it like 1 yard to Christian McCaffrey and just like doing nothing else. Right. That's all I think about Kyle Allen.
Yeah, that's fair.
What I was saying. I'm probably better than him because like I at least can throw like 5 yards down the field. He only throws like 2. So
you gotta wonder how much
Kyle.
Washington really believed in him if they benched Haskins for Kyle Allen.
Well, I just think that Ron Rivera liked his stability that he could bring, so I'm pretty sure he just signed him for that reason. Or didn't they trade for him? I'm pretty sure they traded for Kyle Allen.
Yeah, they gave like a 6th round pick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just brought him in for the reason that he was there, just to be like, hey, if we need to bring him in, like, he won't sink the ship. Like, he can kind of just like move the offense a little bit. Like, he won't be horrible.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why.
The thing that I didn't really understand about it was, like, Kyle Allen was the quarterback who basically got Ron Rivera fired because they started really well with him, and then he played so bad that they were like, yeah, you have to leave, Ron. And he's like, yeah, I want that guy back to run this team. Like, that's the guy. This is our guy right here.
He wanted to get out of Washington ASAP, too.
Yeah.
He did. All right, well, I went through pretty much every team that could possibly draft a quarterback, in my opinion. So, Angel wants to steal your thunder here, but let's transition on to some... let's do a bit of a rookie review for Burrow, Herbert, and Tua. Like, how do you think they performed their rookie seasons?
Angel, you want to take lead on this?
I want to ask a few questions because you, my friend, have completely flipped me on Tua. And there's a few reasons for that. But I went in, for those that don't know, Alex and I live together. So we pretty much breathe, live, and eat fantasy football. And we were having a discussion the other day about Jalen Hurts and Tua on our way back from getting some delicious calzones. And oh, those were so good.
Dude, I want a
But
calzone
anyways,
so bad right now. Oh my god, Angel. I want
have
a
a
calzone.
calzone for breakfast. Treat yourself.
Dude, I don't have calzones, but I do have pizza rolls. I might make pizza
Ooh.
rolls for breakfast. For the
Oh, that's pretty
record.
solid
Anyway,
too.
continue, sir.
Right, yes. So, Tua. We were talking a little bit about Tua and Jalen Hurts and the comparison between them. And I told Alex that I felt like Tua had a pretty solid and okay rookie season, given that he was just coming back from a major injury. He didn't start the season right away. But then I went in and I looked at his numbers, and I wasn't too impressed with them, to be honest with you. In particular, there was one thing that had me really concerned, and that was his red zone completion percentage, which was only 51.3%. And that to me is big because you need to be able to finish off a drive. You need to be able to put the ball where it needs to be at the end of a long drive, and it doesn't seem like he was able to do that his rookie season, which kind of ties back into what Alex said in that conversation, which is he felt like Tua looked shaky and nervous. So, Alex, let me start off by asking you, what is it that you saw from Tua that made you think that way?
It was just like a general feeling. Like I think I watched like 4 or 5 Dolphins games this year just by chance because I liked to watch the Cardinals, so I watched them play the Cardinals. I watched them play the Patriots a couple times, and I saw a couple other games in between. And just every game that I saw Tua start, there was something about it that I was like, this guy, like, he doesn't look like comfortable out there. Like, he seems very like unprepared for this, and it did seem like he was heavily protected by the offense and the designs that they drew up. They really, I mean, the motto of their offense was basically to run the ball, and they did a good job with that. But I feel like the upside of the offense was much higher with Ryan Fitzpatrick under center. And once Tua went out there, it was like they just seemed like they were trying to survive with him. And that was very concerning for me because I'm like, this guy was the 5th overall pick. He's supposed to be a franchise quarterback, but he's limiting this team. What's wrong with him and what's up here?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not necessarily doubting Tua too much because he was a rookie quarterback in a winning team situation, which is usually not the case for rookies. I feel like he would have benefited more from being on a team that was like 6-10 and like really having an opportunity to develop more in an offense and like really be the leader. So it was a bit of a weird situation, and like Angel said, he was coming off a major injury. But what you saw on the field definitely did concern me a little bit. He looked very much like a scared field general who did not want to open the ball up down the field, and he just seemed kind of like not necessarily nervous, but he didn't seem too happy to be like throwing the ball deep, and he didn't really have like the gunslinger mentality that you kind of need in the modern day NFL to be successful, in my opinion. Not necessarily to be like a gunslinger like Patrick Mahomes, but just like being willing to like see a guy with like one-on-one coverage deep and just be like, yeah, let's screw it, let's throw it 40 yards. Like he didn't really do that. Like he kind of just only threw to the open guy. Only threw to the guy who was like a sure thing dump off completion, and I don't know. I just didn't see a lot of aggressiveness and like the it factor from Tua that you would want to see. I feel like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert had good rookie years, and they both kind of displayed that they can be very, very good. I didn't really see much from Tua, so like I said, I'm not really out on him because I feel like he had a decent rookie year. Like, I feel like Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow kind of tainted our view to what a rookie quarterback should be. Like, they're not perfect at all. But I did not love what I saw from Tua. I'm kind of out on him right now in dynasty leagues, honestly. Unless I can get him
to
for
add
cheaper,
to your point,
I don't like him.
About the throwing deep, he only averaged 6.3 yards per attempt, which ranked 30th in the league. So you're completely right about that.
Yeah, he did not throw the ball deep very much at all. But like you were just saying here on the show, Doc, let's talk about the other rookie quarterbacks. Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, I don't want to talk about too much because I feel like we all know what we have in those guys. They looked awesome. They looked amazing. And I mean, the only really concern, yeah, they're okay.
They're fine, like, I guess.
The only concern I really have for Burrow is the knee injury, but I feel like he'll be all right because I mean, at the end of the day, he uses his arm, not his leg. But I mean, it does hinder his mobility a little bit, which is obviously a concern. But yeah, I do want to talk a lot about Jalen Hurts, though. I found myself talking myself into Jalen Hurts a lot in the coming days. Because I just feel like the rushing floor is delicious for fantasy football, and I feel like he's going to be a QB1. So talk me out of that, Alex.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I hope that the Eagles don't draft a quarterback because I feel like Jalen Hurts looked pretty good, and it would be kind of rude for them to have picked him in the second round, started him, won games with him, and then be like, actually, no, not you. You're not the
Actually,
guy.
back to the bench, please.
Yeah. So yeah, I
I
mean,
think it's fair that I think it's fair that he gets a shot.
it's definitely fair. He played really well. The one game that really stood out to me was when they played the Cardinals. He
That
was
was a good one.
going toe to toe with Kyler Murray. Like they were just like trading blows. And I don't know how much of that was Arizona's defense looking just awful. Like they could not cover Greg Ward and Dallas Goedert. They were really struggling. But it was also just Jalen Hurts and his legs just opening up the playbook for the Eagles and just making plays happen pretty much. And I think like for that, like his fantasy upside is super high because this is a guy who could rush for over 500 yards next year if he starts 16 games. Like his
Easily. I feel like he hit like 600.
he could hit 1,000 maybe if they really go full Lamar Jackson on him. They're just like, yeah, you're gonna be you're the guy right now. Like if they really believe in him, I don't know. I like Jalen Hurts though. I can't talk you out of that one.
Yeah,
Going back to the conversation we had, it's completely different from Tua, where they were protecting Tua, and I still like Tua's accuracy, so I don't want to be completely out on him. But
he's very accurate.
yeah, he was ranked number 2 most accurate passer by Player Profiler. But back to Jalen Hurts, compared to Tua, who was completely protected in that offense, we can all agree, they just let Jalen Hurts loose. They let him do what he needed to do, and I think that's really important. That says that they see something in him that
Absolutely.
we should take note of.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like the hot commodity in fantasy football recently. To shift over to a bit of a redraft here. I know we do a lot of dynasty, but I'm also a redraft man myself. So for Jalen Hurts, I'm always a late round quarterback man as far as my strategy for the draft. I'm not drafting a quarterback until at least the 8th round usually, unless there's an amazing value. Like last year, I was considering Dak and Kyler Murray because I mean they were fantastic for fantasy when they were healthy. Rip Dak, shout out Dak, he's amazing. Anyway,
Love Dak.
I love Dak too. Funny story about Dak real quick. Just funny sidetrack. My girlfriend's favorite player is Dak Prescott just because one time she saw on ESPN that he was about to get paid soon. And she was in a fantasy league with me, and it was like the 13th round. And he was like, no, and she was like, oh, Prescott, I know him. He's about to get paid soon. And he drafted him, and that was the year that he finished as like big QB2. And I thought that was really funny. But anyway.
That's incredible.
The late round quarterback is always a hot commodity in fantasy. Like the guy who has the breakout potential, like Lamar Jackson 2 years ago, who was drafted in like the 13th round and ended up being like the QB1, which was absolutely insane. And I feel like this year that guy could be Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying he's going to be the QB1, but I feel like he's going to be an amazing bang for your buck in redraft leagues. And I definitely will be targeting Jalen Hurts at least as my backup quarterback in every like 1 QB redraft home league I'm in this season.
You just got him in the Superflex League for 2 second-round picks, didn't you?
Yeah, 2 second-round picks and a Superflex. That's what I'm trying to get him
That's
for right now.
insane value.
I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of Jalen Hurts managers are going to be high on him like I am, but I feel like there's a lot of people who drafted him in Superflex leagues last year in like the second round in rookie drafts who don't have that much like love for him because he sat on the bench for most of the season last year. And they're just like, Jalen Hurts. So, like, I feel like you can get him for value in a lot of leagues. I mean, I'm only in, like, 3 leagues right now. So I tried to get him in, like, all of them. But in 2 of them, the managers were kind of smart. But in the 1 league, I mean, I got him for, like, I think it was the 202 and the 206, which I am very happy about.
I like it. So, real quick, whose stock would you say is going up heading into next season, and whose is going down? I think we can all agree that Burrow and Herbert up. Tua down. Hurts, how we feeling?
I feel like Hurts is up. I feel like Tua also can be up just because I feel like it can't get much lower than this, honestly. I mean, unless he's a total bust. I don't want to call Tua a total bust. I don't think he is a total bust. But I only think the reason he can go down... I think the only reason he can only go up from this point is because I feel like if Tua is the guy, like everyone thinks he is... I feel like that has to be the worst season we've seen from him, or else his career is done, in my opinion. I feel like he has to go up.
Yeah. I would say in terms of trade value, I mean Herbert, if you wanted to trade for Herbert in like a super flex dynasty league, you're not going to be able to
Okay.
trade for Herbert. That's like it's just not going to happen. It would be like trying to trade for Mahomes. So
It's
his
not gonna
value
happen.
can't go any more up. Joe Burrow, I mean, there's people who legitimately are concerned that he won't be the same after his knee injury. So I wouldn't go as far to say that his like stock is trending up. I think it's more neutral right now. I think it depends on how he recovers from that and what his timeline looks like during the offseason. Tua, I would say his value is just going down because I can't see anybody talking themselves into giving up a first round pick to get Tua, and he was
And a
in many
super
leagues.
flex?
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
I would
I don't.
absolutely give a first round pick for Tua in a super flex.
Well, think about who the quarterbacks in this year's draft are. There's 5 guys who I might actually want more than Tua right now, depending on
You'd
their
rather
landing
have Mac
spot.
Jones than Tua?
If Mac Jones goes to a team that throws the ball and can like put him in a position to succeed, he was better than Tua. His season this year at Alabama was better than any season that Tua had, and Tua had 3 extra first round pick receivers to work with the guys that Mac Jones was throwing to this year when he was
Yeah,
at
I mean,
Alabama.
I'm just saying, like, I think that Tua is not as bad as you think he is. I think our view has just been a bit tainted by the rookie quarterbacks that were so good this season.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's bad. He just really gives me like Teddy Bridgewater vibes. Like he's like Teddy Bridgewater, but left-handed and with 2 less gloves to me.
No, dude,
Two
Tua's
less
two less
gloves.
gloves. No, I mean, I definitely see it. I mean, there's certainly is reason for concern that Tua could be a bust, but I don't think we've seen enough to say that at all. So I definitely, just based on age and the upside, I would definitely be willing to trade like the 108 for Tua in a super flex or higher. I'd trade like the 106 for Tua in a super flex easily.
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree here because
That's
also
fine.
it's not so much the talent even with Tua, although his arm is not great and that concerns me. Like there's things about him that I'm like the upside. I really have to talk myself into it if I have him in a league. But it's just Miami's offense as well. Like they're so run heavy, and unless they invest more in the receiving core, I'm not really sure like whether it's going to be a very fantasy friendly offense. Because the only reason it worked with Fitzpatrick was because Fitzpatrick's a madman. He goes out there and he just
He
chucks
is
it.
absolute.
He doesn't
mad
give a
lad.
shit what the coaching
Yeah.
scheme
Can I
is.
give you?
He
Can
will
I give
throw
you
it
guys
deep.
a flaming hot take right now on the show? I think if both quarterbacks are healthy next season, I think Joe Burrow finishes higher than Justin Herbert does. That's my hot take.
I don't think that's much of a hot. I would agree with that. Actually.
I think it is. No, I mean, I feel like a lot of people think Herbert is like the second coming. But I think if both are healthy next season, I think Burrow finishes higher for fantasy.
I agree with you. This isn't a hot take for me.
Really?
There's a reason
I feel
Joe
like this is a
Burrow.
hot take.
Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in college football history in his final year, and there's stuff that Joe Burrow does that you don't see like it's very rare some of the instincts he has. And I think if he's healthy and if his weapons are healthy and if the offense is rolling, like he could definitely do better than Herbert just because I think defenses will adjust to Herbert and they did as the season went along. Like I don't see him destroying teams in the same manner that he did last year. Like I think he caught a lot of teams by surprise because I think they expected a much rawer like passer when they went against him. And yeah, I kind of see Herbert like taking a little bit of a hit next year, honestly. Like I don't know if he can replicate the same success that he has as a rookie.
Well, I think Herbert will be like just as good. I don't think he'll be that much better. Honest. Sorry, I think
Welcome
like
to
this year
3Co
was
Sports, the
pretty good.
podcast where hot takes become lukewarm takes because we're all madmen.
Well, no, seriously, I feel like Herbert. I don't know. I feel like Herbert will be very good next year. I love Justin Herbert as a player. I think he's awesome. He's super fun to watch, and I feel like he's a cool dude too. But like, I don't know. I just feel like Burrow has a higher ceiling for fantasy.
Yeah. I think here's the thing, the parallels that I've drawn in my head. As a rookie, we saw Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looked really good as a rookie. Like, I mean, he had a ton of flaws as well.
Don't you dare compare Herbert to Daniel Jones.
I'm not comparing them directly, but
Don't
it could
you
be a
dare.
similar thing where
No.
their stats take a bit of a hit in the second year once teams realize, oh, this guy's gonna run on me if we don't like put a contain on him. Like there's adjustments to be made. They're very similar players and they were used pretty similarly. I think Justin Herbert's way better than Daniel Jones. and he played way better than Daniel Jones as a rookie. But we saw a big tail off in Daniel Jones's play from year 1 to year 2, and I don't think it's out of the question for Herbert's play to take a similar sort of like small regression.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I'd agree with
All right,
that.
we probably should move on to the quarterback landing spots because we're running out of time here a little bit. So, where do you guys think are the best landing spots for Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, Lance, etc.?
Do we want to just fire through these, like just in list
Yeah,
form?
how about we all just list
let's do
for
that.
the top 5 QBs our favorite landing spots? I feel like
Let's do that. That's perfect.
smooth.
All right, who wants to take lead here?
Why don't
I'll
you do
take
it?
the lead here.
Yeah,
Oh, Angel
go
can.
ahead,
That's
Angel.
okay. All right, let's see. Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars, obviously. Justin Fields. These are preferred, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Atlanta. I would love Justin Fields in Atlanta. I feel like that would be a perfect fit. Zach
Okay.
Wilson, the Panthers. Mac Jones, the Patriots. Trey Lance, the Washington football team. And that's my top 5. That's where I want to see them go.
Interesting.
All right. Alex, do you want to go or you want me to go?
I'll go because this guy was looking at my notes, I think.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Is that what you put?
I mean-
no way.
Well, up until the end, I'm definitely, I feel like Lawrence to the Jaguars, like that's a done deal pretty much.
Yeah, that's a lock.
I really like Fields on the Falcons because I feel like with Arthur Smith coming in, he came from Tennessee where they had Tannehill, who's not the most mobile guy, but he's much more mobile than Matt Ryan. And I think they saw what they could do with a quarterback like that there. And getting Fields in Atlanta would be great because he's a Georgia native. He went to Georgia briefly. I think he'd be happy to be there. And I think they'd be happy to have him and move into the future with a new quarterback. Zach Wilson, for like months now, I've been like so excited for the prospect of Zach Wilson in Joe Brady's offense in Carolina because his arm talent is ridiculous. Like he might have the best arm in this class. He's just so accurate. He can push the ball down the field. He can hit any receiver anywhere on the field. He's awesome. And the way that they spread out that offense and the way that they use those receivers, I feel like he could be an absolute superstar there. And I think he'd be a great understudy to Teddy Bridgewater in his first year. And then this is where me and Angel differ a little bit because I really like Trey Lance's fit with the 49ers. I think he could add an element to their offense that they don't have with Jimmy Garoppolo or Nick Mullins or Josh Rosen if you're into that. I'm into that for the record. I like Josh Rosen, but Trey Lance is probably a better fit. But yeah, I feel like Trey Lance is the kind of weapon that they could really like model their offense around, and just he does remind me of Colin Kaepernick in a way where I think he's a weapon like with his legs and he's a weapon with his arm, even though he's very like he's imperfect as a passer. He has a bit of a weird throwing motion. He's not the most accurate guy, but he does make good decisions with the ball and he can push it all over the field and he could really open up that offense. And then Mac Jones to the Patriots. I like that. I basically like Mac Jones anywhere after that Patriots spot. Like there's a variety of teams like Washington and Pittsburgh even and New Orleans where I think he could be a good fit. And yeah, that's about my list right there.
Alrighty, so this is a little interesting because both you guys did not have the New York Jets as a spot. Is that just because it's not a sexy pick, or do you think they're not picking a quarterback?
It's because it's our preferred landing spot, and we actually like the QB class, so we would never wish
Okay,
the
yeah,
New York
that's
Jets
fair.
upon
That's
them.
fair.
I'm just
That's
not
fine,
sure
yeah,
if is Sam Darnold a better player than Justin Fields also. Like I'm not like Sam Darnold might be as high of an upside guy. Like you never really know. Maybe they could unlock him.
I don't know. It's interesting. So, for me, I think everyone has the Jaguars taking Trevor Lawrence number 1. I will put a quarterback at number 2. It's not my favorite landing spot, even though that's what we're doing. But I'm just gonna do it just for the sake of the exercise because I think they're gonna draft a quarterback. I'm gonna put Zach Wilson number 2 through the Jets just because I've been seeing so many mocks with Zach Wilson number 2 as the quarterback, and I still have Fields as my number 2 guy. But I've seen so many NFL GMs and like mock drafts and like people around the league say that Wilson's probably going to go ahead of him. So I'm starting to kind of expect that Wilson will go ahead of Fields come draft night. So I'm putting him there. I agree with you guys. I think Justin Fields is a great fit in Atlanta. I really like the feel of just Fields in Atlanta. I feel like it just makes a lot of sense. I could definitely see him being a Falcon. Like I feel like it just makes a lot of sense. Um, and then I think Trey Lance to the Panthers makes sense, but I also really liked your 49ers take, Alex. I feel like that's a fantastic idea. Kyle Shanahan would turn Trey Lance into an absolute weapon in the NFL, I think. And I feel like that'd be very entertaining. But I think Trey Lance to the Panthers makes a lot of sense as well. Because I think that if they keep Teddy Bridgewater, which they probably would for a season, Trey Lance could sit kind of like Jordan Love and develop for a year or two, and then take the reins and become a polished quarterback. And it could be almost like an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation where if Trey Lance looks fantastic,
I apologize.
hey, look at that hammering.
Guys, we're filming a podcast.
We're gonna
Thank
love
you.
that. Anyway, I think it could be like an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation where like if Trey Lance is showing out in practice big time, you always could trade Teddy Bridgewater and the world would not burn. So I think that's a pretty good spot for the Panthers as well. Sorry for Trey Lance with the Panthers. And then Mac Jones, I mean, I think we've all said it. Mac Jones on the Patriots just makes a lot of sense to me. Going from what's his name, Nick Saban to Bill Belichick also just makes sense. It's like a similar like team feel and all that. I feel like it would set him up for success nicely. The only thing that's an issue is that they would have like janitors to throw the ball to, so they gotta fix that. But yeah, I think Mac Jones to the Patriots makes a lot of sense. But it will also be very interesting though if their quarterback starts to fall. Because if Mac Jones, for example, falls out of the number 15 slot, I feel like there's a gap in picks for a while there until like 19 or 20, where he could even be considered. And I feel like it'd be really interesting if he fell out of the top 15. So keep an eye on that for sure.
It's going to be a really great QB class. I'm really excited
It's going
to
to be really
take a look
interesting.
at it. Yeah, I can't wait till draft night. Now, Luke, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Obviously, we would all love to draft some of these studs in our fantasy football leagues, but unfortunately, sometimes we just don't have the draft capital to do so. Is there any place where people can invest in the careers of these players? I don't know, maybe like an app or a website or something, without
I'm
having to
so
draft
glad
them?
you asked, Angel. Angel, I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, are
so
you?
there's this.
Oh, that's so
I'm
cool.
so glad. There's this
I'm glad you
amazing
like the
website
question.
/ app called Prediction Strike where you
Whoa.
can invest in your favorite players. It's awesome.
What?
So anyway, okay, so cutting the corniness now. Prediction Strike, seriously, guys, it's an amazing website. It's like if DraftKings / FanDuel had a baby with the stock market. You can go on and play in more of a DFS style with the way you invest in players and make money. For example, I remember I invested very heavily in Jalen Hurts the first game he started, and I made a ton of money off it. I made like $20 by buying like 3 shares of Jalen Hurts because he was like $1 a share. You can go in and invest like $20 in Jalen Hurts, and all of a sudden you can like triple your profit after like one blow up game. It's amazing. There's group chats, there's a Discord about players that you can target. It's awesome. You can also do more of a long-term investment and draft a guy like Luka Doncic, who you think will be like an amazing player for his entire career, and kind of just invest in him the entire way. There's many strategies. It's super fun. Definitely go over to predictionstrike.com and check it out. If you use the code 3CO, you will get, I think, half your deposit back when you put in your money. So if you put in 20,
Nice.
you get 10 extra. So use the code 3CO whenever you deposit your money. That is 3CO.
What a
guess,
lovely app that sounds like. I would definitely use that.
I would too, honestly.
And I'd use that great promo code as well. That sounds awesome.
Use that amazing promo code.
What was that great promo code? It was number 3CO, correct?
Yeah, it was 3CO, 3CO.
Oh, look at that.
Look
I
at
guess
that.
you could say you might be able to strike gold if you predict things. Huh? No, that was weak.
Not that
That
one.
was weak.
Not
was
that
weak.
one.
I apologize.
That's not the
to our
one.
Yes,
viewers.
it was okay. It was all right.
It was pretty bad. I'll take the heat on that one. That was pretty awful. But
Fair enough.
moving on from my awful joke into something a little bit more serious. Obviously, there was a very tragic event that happened over the past couple of days. Vincent Jackson was found dead in his home, and because we like to honor people's lives here, I want to just bring up my favorite memory of Vincent Jackson. I got into Madden when Madden 16 or 17, and I got into it real deep. Like I was playing Madden Ultimate Team. I was on MUT. I was looking for the best cards. I was looking for wide receivers that could run block. And Vincent Jackson happened to be like the top wide receiver for run blocking. And this may seem really random, but that's when I really started to actually pay more attention to different aspects of the game. Like it became clear that playing wide receiver wasn't just about running routes and getting open. There was the elite wide receivers did something else. They ran block, they run blocked, they played physical, and Vincent Jackson was the wide receiver that opened my eyes to that. So I have some very fond memories of Vincent Jackson. I loved having him on my fantasy teams as well. So really tragic news, but thank you, Vincent Jackson, for all you did for my fantasy football knowledge, for my football knowledge in general, and for being an absolute stud on my ultimate team that year, because he stayed on there the entire year. Love that player.
Yeah, similar to Angel, I also discovered Vincent Jackson from Madden Ultimate Team, which is very interesting.
Really?
Maybe it says something about this group, but yeah, I was also playing around Madden 17 or 16, and he had an amazing Ultimate Legends card that was a 97 overall. And
That's
Angel
the one
said,
I got. Yep.
Yeah, he would just pancake people in the run blocking, and he would moss everybody with the Odell Beckham spectacular catch animation for some reason. And just rest in peace, man. It's tragic. They just found him in a hotel dead. It's so sad. I remember when the news broke, the reporter who tweeted it out was breaking news in parentheses awful. Vincent Jackson found dead in a hotel room. It was crazy. The whole timeline was really sad. So yeah, just rest in peace, man. It sucks.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I saw it, I was it ruined my day to hear about it, because when I was I think I was 8. I got really into sports cards, and one of the first football cards I got was a Vincent Jackson rookie card from the Chargers, and I really liked it because it was a cool picture, and I was like, this guy looks cool. He's gigantic, and he has this guy seems like a stud, and I didn't know what a stud really was in fantasy football when I was 8, but I was there's something that I knew, and he was part of my love affair with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because when they switched to those controversial jerseys with the sleeves that were brown and the weird numbers, I was one of the few people I think who actually liked those jerseys, and he was the number one receiver for them during that time, and I was like, dude, I like the Buccaneers, and I like these 2 6'5" receivers they got, Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans. So yeah, those are some of my memories of Vincent Jackson, and yeah, rest in peace. He seemed like a good guy, and he was a great player too.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Vincent Jackson. You will be missed, but thank you for all you did for all of our lives, the 3 of us, and I'm sure many, many others worldwide. And with all that being said, gentlemen, that concludes episode 2 of the 3CoSports podcast. We did it. Third time was the charm again. We faced villains. We faced both Iris, and we faced our upstairs neighbors, but we persevered. So if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. It'll help a ton, and it means the absolute world to us. Does anyone else have any parting words?
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you for bearing with us. Third time was the charm. 2.0. Please listen. We're on Spotify now too, so check us out there. It's more convenient than everything else. But everything else, yeah, we're everywhere right now. Come listen. Thank you.
Come on down, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday.